worked for a Birmingham Museums Trust. So that's a very large museum service for over 20 years in a range of different jobs. And for the last 10 years, I was Director of Development, which is focusing on fundraising, business planning. It's a senior management role. Um, after sort of 20 or so years in that job, which was most of my career, I actually started to just feel like, I suppose I'd done everything I could do there. And things were starting to feel like repetitive. And even though I still enjoyed it, I actually started to think, I knew I was going to be sort of 50 in a couple of years at that point. And thought, well, maybe I should have a little break. And I actually thought, I could give myself a break as a present when I was 50. And then I thought, well, no, actually, let's just do it now. And that was a couple of years before I was 50. So I actually took a year out to sort of think about what I wanted to do next. Because one of the things I found in the last few months at the museum was I thought, well, I could apply for the jobs, but I just genuinely couldn't think what are the jobs I wanted. What I was getting offered by recruitment consultants was basically the same job I was doing in a different organisation. So I guess there's three things I'm doing now. One is I'm doing a work-wise. In April, I started a freelance role, but with a consultancy who focus on culture and heritage. And that's a pretty much fully remote role, and it's fairly flexible. I'm also a trustee of a landscape trust, which is a small grant-giving charity. That's very much linked to an area I've been quite interested in around where agriculture, conservation, and nature recovery intersect. And I've been aware that sort of the environment, climate change, those things were of interest to me. But when I briefly looked at job roles in it, they're often really specialist, and even the non-specialist ones require a lot of knowledge.
Absolutely,
and I thought, and even, I'd looked at some more junior roles, but I just thought even there was specialist knowledge, and I thought, I just wasn't sure that I would be a good fit. But what the roles with the Landscape Trust are allowing me to do is actually learn a lot about the exact areas I'm interested in and contribute my skills as a trustee. But in a sort of learning in a low intensity way, because I'm not in that pressure in a new job where I'm having to learn lots and lots of new knowledge. I'm actually able to absorb it from the people I'm interacting with through the Landscape Trust and the Landscape Partnership. And I think I wouldn't have applied for a freelance role if I hadn't gone through some of the Brave Starts exercises, which have made me really think about what type of job I wanted and almost create a spec for a job outside of thinking about any specific work. So I'd really thought about the things that were important, but also what I would compromise on. And the role that was offered that I applied for with the consultancy, everything was perfect apart from the fact it was freelance. But then I thought, well, I know how to do paperwork and admin. And I thought, well, if there's not enough freelance work through them, maybe I can pick up some other work. But actually, it turns out there is enough through them for the amount of sort of money I need to live. And that was one of the other things that was useful with Brave Starts was actually the exercises that just force you to think about, what do you need? What do I need to earn? That's a sort of very practical exercises. But also I now feel less intimidated by the idea that if I have to make a change, I'm not intimidated by the idea that that might have to happen at some point. It's a sector, like a lot of the charity sectors, that relies on public funding and funding from trusts and foundations. So a lot of the clients we work with are very reliant on other forms of funding, and they're under continual ongoing pressure, I would say. But I'm not. I'm not worried about it now about a job suddenly not being there, because I feel like I'm in a better place now to be able to sit down and go, well, okay, this is where I am. This is what I want to do. This is the sorts of things I'm interested in. And also these are the networks I've got. Just say yes. They should absolutely join. It's not a big financial commitment. It's not a big time commitment, but the exercises are incredibly valuable, and meeting other people who are feeling like you is always
Mm.
incredibly valuable because you realize it's not unusual, and also that people will get through it and find the thing that works for them.